You guys, welcome back. Page 26. So I did ask you to grab a highlighter again and a pencil. If you don't have a pencil, I've got spare pencils up here. We're doing the connect the dots for slightly older kids again. So you definitely want to have a pencil because there's so many places we could make mistakes. Even I make mistakes with a pen. So yesterday on page 26, we finished it together in this class. We ended a little early, I think. Yeah, I think that's what happened. I don't quite remember, but I want to take a look at this map to begin with. So we already have this finished, so I just want to talk about a few things before we go and try another one. So one thing I want to remind you is that the entire line that you drew, whatever line you were drawing, for example, if we were drawing this 50 line, one thing I'm not sure is clear to you guys is that this entire line might as well be a line that just screams 50. So I don't know if you can see what I'm writing, but I just wrote a bunch of 50s on that line. That means everywhere on that line, even if it wasn't exactly on a highlighted 50, that entire line is 50. So by saying that, I want to remind you that you can only put that line where 50s belong. So when I say where they belong, for example, let's do right where I put this one. 50 comes in between 49 and 54. So 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. So it's okay. That's why we put this line here, because 50 belongs in between 49 and 54. So if I then add, no, we're not there yet. Okay, so that whole line is 50, no matter where it is, as long as it's on that line, it's a 50. Now, going about checking your answers, I know I talked about this a little yesterday. If you're not sure if your line was right, the easiest way to do that is to put your finger or your pen or pencil, whatever you're using, and just double check. Are the numbers on either side smaller on one side, bigger on the other? Smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger. Same over here. Smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger. I think you get the point. So it's easy to check your own work, just to do a quick scan. Are they smaller? Are they bigger? And that way you don't forget some too. If you're going through and you realize, oh, that one is wrong, that you can go back and add it into your circle. And then the other thing I want to remind you is what happens off the map stays off the map. So when we get to the edge of the map, we have to stop. We don't know exactly what's going on up here, so we can't just go, oh, I know that's going to connect and go up and over. You're probably right. It probably is going to just do that little loop. But again, what happens off the map stays off the map. So you cannot draw any lines on the outside of the map. And the last thing I want to remind you is what the contour interval means. And we must have wrote it in yesterday. It's what the lines go up by. So since we are counting by tens, this is going to be 0 first, then 10, then 20, then 30, and so on. So counting by tens. And in this case, it's going to be 10 meters. So that means meters above sea level. If this was a temperature map, that might be degrees Fahrenheit. Or if it was a pressure map, it might be millibars. We'll get to that later on. So I want to practice again. I know. This one is uber hard. Okay. This one's way harder than yesterday's. And for the record, it's way harder than your homework. And if you haven't seen your homework's page 28, so the next page. So this map 2 is the hardest one, which is why I did not give it to you for homework yesterday. I didn't want to make you do this. But before you get started, I already see some of you highlighting, so I guess that means you probably know what you're doing. What line should you start with according to the directions, which again, for some stupid reason, I put at the bottom of the page. Okay, so we're counting by 10. So don't forget to check for a 0 line. Because remember, 0 is where you start. So then your next line, if we found a 0, what would the next one be? 10, and then 20 and 30. And I'll tell you today, we're going to stop at 40. For those of you who have already started, did you find any zeros? Nope, there are none. How about any 10s, like 1, 0, 10? No. The first line you're going to start with is 20s. So grab your highlighter. You know, I do not know. So Zach asked, how many 20s are there? And I don't know off the top of my head today. I think there's more than that, but okay. But guys, what happens if you skip one?
It don't matter.
Why doesn't it matter?
I don't know. You just told me that.
You'll probably find it. As you're going around connecting them, looking for smaller and bigger, you'll probably find the one that's equal to 20. So I just like to highlight them to begin with, just so I have an idea of where I'm going. But if I miss one, it's not the end of the world. Well, I only found 6, so you guys told me there's at least 7. There's 8. So like I said, I'll find it as I go along. Oh, there's one. Thanks. That shouldn't be so hard. Guys, I'll also tell you, these 3 maps that we're doing yesterday, today, and for homework are way harder than any of the Regents is going to make you do. So now we got to do connect the dots for slightly older kids. Remember, I highly recommend putting down your highlighter to do the connect the dots, picking up a pencil. Where do we start? Okay, so you want to start at the edge of the map? Does it matter where we start? No, you can start wherever your little heart desires, as long as you remember they're either going to connect into like a closed loop, or they're going to go to the edge of the map. So Keith says he wants to start with the one that's on the edge. Is this the one you wanted? Okay, that's a great place to start. So we got to start connecting these. So remember how I described it. You're going to be drawing a fence to separate anybody who's bigger than 20 from smaller than 20. There's a smaller, there's a bigger. Smaller, smaller, bigger. Loop up right there. That was actually a pretty easy place to start. And then just start continuing on with your fence. I know I'm going very fast up here compared to probably what you guys are doing. I've done this before. I'm not expecting you to just copy what I've done. I'm expecting you to be able to do it on your own. So try not to look at mine while you're connecting them. It's okay, except for you can't leave these guys hanging there. Gotta keep connecting them up. So remember, you can go off the edge of the map. If you left these guys over here, they can't.
Yeah, it don't make no sense. So far, yeah, I guess it goes off the edge.
Okay, yep, it goes off the edge right there. So I'd like to remind, I know I'm saying this like, hey, like 20s can't hang out with teens. Okay, so you can think of it as teenagers hanging out with 20-year-olds. Okay, so technically it's probably okay, but you can at least get what I'm talking about. We don't want the teenagers hanging out with the 20-year-olds, so we're gonna fence them off. Now remember, so if you stopped where I stopped, you have to finish this up. There's more 20s down here hanging out. So again, you can start wherever you'd like. So here's one on the edge of the map. And there's some that I need to fence off. So now we go from one edge to another. So I fenced off all these teenagers from everybody else up here. But now there's still more teenagers I need fenced off. I just can't have them hanging out together. Now you have to go from, ooh, we lost my sheet. You have to go, either they're gonna be closed up in a circle, or it goes off the edge of the map.
Demonstrates here, you have 30s, crazy, so.
It's good. The next thing I want you working on is not doing like this up and over thing. So kind of like a smooth, gentle curve. Your connect the dots of elephants is gonna look funny.
Okay. It's less than I got.
That's good. That's what I did on the check. Just go there. All you guys in the means.
Guys, go there.
That's good. But then just double check in here. Are there any teams that got left in here? Like, here. Do you want to switch highlighters?
You're blocked. Can't go back. Is it between the two? So, only direction is to go.
So if you think you've got your 20s, maybe call us over to check your 20s. Your 20s are good. Double check what you're That's 20 got out. So all I did was just see them real quick, just so that everybody is rationalizing people they're not supposed to bring up. Not just looking here, make sure that you don't even have to look necessarily all over. I'll try with your shot. Third. Yeah, that, are we gonna have 20s or you? Yeah, and then real quick, so all you have to do is just go through, are these all teams? They're all teams there, did any teams get away? No, you didn't, now start with your 30s, there are only the 5 of them.
You were fine with this. Okay, so let's see, what page is that? It's 30.
Your 30s, you let these 30s get away. These 30s can't hang out with those.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, that one's good, that's your 20 line,
Yeah.
it's this 30 line that's not good.
Same thing for garage.
Now you're gonna want them to actually touch that. Okay, so a lot of you have already gone on to your 30s. If you haven't already gone on to your 30s, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get mine going.
So what you do, is just squeeze it, and it's free. What is between?
So I believe there's only those 5 actual 30s. But for those of you who are already starting, I'm gonna point these 30s out over here. No, it's not a 3-0 30, but there's 31. There's 31. There's 31. Don't forget to fence those guys off from the 20s. We can't have those 30s next to without a fence between them. We gotta fence off the 30s from the 20s. So another way you could do this, and I think Keith, this is what you were talking about, is if you look on the outside edge, here's a 20, there's a 26, there's a 31. What comes in between 26 and 31 that we care about? 30. There's a 30. And if you want to put a little dot and a little label, you're welcome to, if that helps you. The other thing is, you guys, oh, here's another 31 and a 25. What's in between them? Another 30. Do you guys remember rule 5 from yesterday? Remember when I said they're parallel-ish? So once you have one line done, you can get an idea about what the next line is going to do. The fact that the 20s came out over here in this like weird, like, I don't know, like shoot area. I don't know what you want to call it, but the 30s are going to do the same idea. They might not go out as far, but there are 30s over there that you have to corral off. You can't let those 30s hang out. I know. Now, what about up here? Remember how I said this whole line is 20s? So we need to fence off that line from the 31 as well. So you just keep fencing off the 20s, making them not hang out with the 30s. Oops. So even I made a mistake, not perfect. But the way I caught it was I'm like, wait, I don't want that 35. I got to catch that 35. Can't let them run away. Forties are kind of a mess. So wait for me with the 40s too once you're there, if you're willing. I've been catching them all this time. They're good, but now we've got this 40. This thing was higher than 40. Okay, but now you do a 40 line in between 40 and 42. 40 come in between 40 and 42. So the 40s are a mess. Yeah. Okay. So we gotta get over to this one. Or yes. Yes. So we got this here, and then we get 42. Okay, so you're here. Let's keep going over here. Let's keep touching all the big ones on the inside. And the littler ones on the outside.
I go here, but then we go up. Right. A stop sign though. Yeah, I think that makes sense. 30 doesn't come. Why can't you mark the 40? Yeah. How's this look? No, I'm late, so I will fix it. Yeah. Yeah. Just like I just
From that one.
Was that 30, they got 30, let's see. Start from 30, okay, so here. So this was 20. So 20 is the closest to 15. So which one is the line closer? The number is close to. You have 6 points close to 15. So now we're going to allow you. It allows you 30 lines. Squeeze through there without touching. If you, as we did, 30 touches 20, it would be right. Okay, so this same thing here. Very close to 27. Now we're back to right here. So look it up. What options do we have? Is 30 between 24 and 50. Okay, so take it through that. And once you get through a stop, you look around. Up, it's going to be 37 and 27. Yes. I'll look around. You can't just let it hang out. Make a move, make connects, bring you off the channel. You want to let you know.
Yo, we got a different,
What color you guys,
green.
Yeah.
All right. So how about the 40?
Chris, I need that.
I needed this one.
No,
I'll hand it back in a second. I just want to highlight the different color. Now 40s probably got like a little bit like, woo, there's a lot of 40s.
That's not bad.
Do you need this one?
Yeah.
So you're like, there's a lot. I can just start connecting them up and didn't have to think about it. No, it wasn't that easy, was it? So one thing I want to point out is when you're connecting them, does 40 become in between 40 and 42? So that's not a trick question. Here's the number 40. Here's the number 42. What comes in between 40 and 42? 41. So let me say this again. Does 40 come in between 40 and 42? No, 40 is 40. So if there's a 40, it has to be right on the line. You can't put a 40 in between 40 and 42. Yeah. Did I miss a 40? So like I've been saying, it's not a huge deal if I don't highlight them all, because I will find it when I'm working around connecting them, but thank you. So I'm going to start connecting them. So I'm going to randomly start. Where did you guys start? Because I know most of you already started this. Which one did you try to start at? These two that were the same? It's probably where I would have started too. But, so I'm going to connect them. When you just connect those two, don't forget about these guys over here. I can't have them just hanging out fenced off without being fenced off. But now that they're connected, this connecting line, not a good line to have. They need to go over here to this 40. Of course, I used pen. But is that it? not. So that group is all nice and fenced off. And now, just like yesterday, it's okay to start another peak. We want this 42 fenced off from everybody else around it. So they get their own little fence. They get their own little fence. Because what did you, can I see what you did? Wait, before you erase, or did you already erase it? No, don't erase it. I want to show someone. Who didn't give them their own little pasture? Yeah, draw it back so I can, I just want to show, here, we got one right here.
Okay, yeah, we did one.
Okay, I'm about to show you the wrong thing.
No.
Yes. So by showing this, so even if, and you just fixed this, and I think you had it right originally. Of course, I lost my pencil and my trips around. Oh, there's 10,000 pencils right here. So you did have this connected. That you didn't. And this is what I was talking about when I kept asking, does 40 come in between 40 and 42? Because that, it's similar right here. Here's a 40, there's a 30. Does 40 come in between 30 and 40? You gotta connect it up. So it wasn't like horribly wrong. They just get their own little fence because we can't put a 40 between a 40 and something else. It has to be the 40. So once you get their own little fence here, hand this over. You then go back and fence off these characters down here. So it's gonna look something like that. Now, guys, remember, this is a map of elevation. So this is, again, a mountain that has 3 different like sets of peaks attached to it. That was by far the hardest one. I debated not even doing it, but we did it and you did just fine. This one is way easier, the one you're doing for homework. No, we're gonna do a little bit more. We're not doing too much. This is almost like perfectly straightforward, just a bunch of lines that connect themselves up. Nothing tricky here. This actually, I think, is the easiest out of all 3. So what we're gonna do, so again, your homework is page 28. Homework due, this is due tomorrow, which is the 13th. Tomorrow's already Thursday, guys. Woo-hoo. We're going to the next page. So page 29. Page 29 doesn't actually have a page number. I'm not sure where it went, but it's on the back of the homework. And this page is titled Topographic Maps. That's not you, we got 10 minutes. Always get so confused. Now so those of you working on your homework, stop. I appreciate your ambition. Sorry, I got a little something in my throat. So this is titled Topographic Map. Now, have I said that word before today at all? I actually didn't. But do you guys know what it is? Maybe. So what if I said a topographic map is very similar or almost exactly the same as a contour map? It's a contour, add that, if you didn't already, add that. Wait, what do you mean it doesn't look like one? What's a contour map first? Let's start there.
That's just a top view. Where is it? That.
Yeah, this guy, when I put it under the screen, this is a topographic map. It's a map that shows elevation. It's what we just drew. That was a contour map. So a contour map shows elevation. Topographic map is, again, another map that shows the elevation, shows the layout of the land. Now, topographic maps, now I have some in the back of the room, like real good ones. And I think what we're going to do in the next couple of days is actually look at one. This is the Freedom topographic map. Oh, that's what I thought was gonna happen. Let me see what happens when I turn the lights on. Okay, so it's, first of all, super busy, right? Lot going on there, but what do you see on this map? Okay, green. What else do you see on this map? White, okay. Whew. Guys, this is a struggle. What else do we see on the map? Lines. Which lines were you specifically talking about?
Longitude.
The ones that constantly.
Thank you.
Squiggly
Okay,
line.
the squiggly lines. There's a squiggly line. All of these little squiggly lines, guys. Oh, what are those called? What did you call them? Squiggly lines. They are, but it's,
Look.
this is a latitude and longitude. They're all squiggled. Can't be squiggled if they're latitude and longitude. These are contour lines.
I knew that.
Lines that connect areas of equal elevation. They're the lines we were just doing that connect the dots for slightly older kids. It's hard, I'm sure you guys, well, you can probably see, like this line right here. Oh, let me show you on here. Where was I? Yeah, I can't see money. There we go. This 2000 right there, if you follow it all around, that whole line is 2000, shoot, are we feet or meters?
Meters.
I'm not sure, and I would have to move it too much to find out, but it's labeled on the bottom. So it's the whole 2000 line. There's here, over here is an 1800 line, sorry. You're not 18,000, that's too high. So these are maps that show elevation, but what else do you see? So we already saw the green. Okay, so you see names of towns. So you saw the Centerville. So this was in feet, by the way, it does tell you on the bottom.
8,000 feet.
No, 1,800 feet. So you see names of towns. What's right above the name of the town? What do you see right there? Findlay Road. So, Findlay. I think that's how you say it. Anybody live in Centerville? Is that a name of a road? No, you guys don't have anything. I'm just showing you a picture of a real map. So you see names of roads, names of towns, you see the contour lines. It's basically, you see the green, which if you follow on the bottom, it tells you what the green is. It tells you it's like forest area. But it's basically just a map that would tell you, like, if you had to find your way around Centerville, and then on top of that map that you're used to looking at, they put lines for the elevation. So a topographic map has all of the things, latitude, longitude, names of roads, names of towns, and on top of it, we've got the contour lines. We're gonna look at these again, but here's a real simple one on the top of your paper. Way more simple than a real one. This kind of looks like what we were doing today and yesterday. And I just want to make sure you know a few of the basic things. Let's start with, what the heck is a map scale? Hint, you should already know this from your good old days of elementary school. It's what? That's not what the scale is, no. Yeah, it's the measurement for distance. This right here, guys, is a map scale. Let's label that. So you were talking about a graph scale, so what they went up by. Oh, that's what you meant, okay. So here's the map scale. What do we use the map scale for? And I know you just said it. Measure what?
The scale on the map.
No, used to measure distance. Between two places. And in this case, it's going to be in kilometers, but sometimes it could be in miles. Do you guys know how to abbreviate miles? MI. M by itself is meters. And right now, I'm going to tell you guys, if you mistakenly use an M when you mean miles, I have to mark it wrong. So if you're not sure, or if you're not 100% positive how to abbreviate something, don't. So write it all the way out, but don't just write a few of the words. Like, don't do MIL. That's something else. So it's either do it right, MI, or write out the whole word.
What if we do MILE?
I'll take that, yeah. So you didn't put the S, yeah, that's okay, but not MIL. Okay, so if you're not sure 100%, you don't. But if you are sure, you can go ahead, right ahead and abbreviate. Now, how do you know if it's in miles or kilometers? It tells you, read all the words. So in this case, it is in kilometers, and they spelled it out for you, but you can use the KM. Now, I have a question. If I asked you to, let me just put 2 random spots. You do not have to do this. And right there. So if I'm gonna label that A and B, if I asked you to tell me how far apart A and B were, how would you do it?
10 centimeters.
Did you just like estimate using your eyeballs?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ever do that.
Use a ruler. And then-
Okay, so use a ruler. Now, what are you gonna do with the ruler?
You're gonna
Measure
place,
centimeters.
So you're gonna measure in centimeters. Do you think that centimeters is like a cool number to use, like a cool thing to use here?
yeah.
You do? Man, I hope I
And
didn't.
you multiply by 2.
And you multiply by 50. Where the heck are you getting that information from?
That's on our
It was
lab.
on our lab.
That was in our lab. Hey, is this your lab?
No.
No. So don't just do something that you know in the back of your head from lab on this. Lab told you in that case that 1 centimeter was equal to 50 kilometers, I think, maybe it was miles.
Isn't that true then?
It is not.
Yeah. She told me
And in
that.
this case, check that out. Does a centimeter actually equal something on here?
Yeah.
It does not.
Just a dog.
It does not. A centimeter equals, here's a centimeter. It's past that first block that's labeled. And did you just estimate that with your eyeballs again?
No, I.
Don't estimate with your eyeballs, okay?
Yeah, 20.
So how are we gonna do this? Now, there is a way to use a ruler. I don't love it though. How else might you do this?
Inches.
Times the best.
Use the match.
But yeah, but use the map scale, but that's what I'm asking is, how do you use the map
How
scale?
do you use it?
Huh?
You put the.
Cut it
ruler-
out. Yeah, because guess what? On the regions, I'll totally give you hair scissors. You can just cut out. Don't worry about whatever was on the back of that map on the regions. That's not it either, but that would work. But you can't.
Cut it.
So you would like, just use your eyeballs.
Okay, I feel like I've already mentioned you can't use your eyeballs.
What if it's a multiple?
Does any, nobody knows?
What if you just guess?
Don't do that either. Nobody knows?
If it's a multiple.
Is it-
What would you do, Keith?
Choose a-
So I've seen a lot of people do this, and this is better than nothing. This is better than your eyeballs. This is better than just guessing. That I've seen you put your pen right there, and then what would you do, Keith? And so my guess is you meant that you would measure off where they were and then use that on the map scale. It's not my favorite, but it's better than anything else you guys have mentioned. What I would do is I would take any scrap sheet of paper. Now you're in the middle of a test. You're like, well, you didn't give me scrap paper. Well, I gave you your reference table.
Yes, scratches on that.
So I would like you to grab any piece of paper, mark off where they are, so how far apart they are. I don't even really have to label them.
10 centimeters.
Then bring, again, we're not doing centimeters. And then I would bring that to the map scale. And I would see that mine was perfectly at 500, maybe a little before, 490 something.
Oh, what are you guessing with your eyeballs?
Okay, so there's sometimes we have to guess. a little
Guessing
bit.
with your eyeball.
You do have to, once if it's not perfectly lined up, yes, you might have to estimate a little.
Guess with your eyeball.
But I don't, not if you have to do math. Oh man, that just came rolling right back in my face. You got me, Carter.
Attaboy.
All right. So we didn't get very far in the notes, but guess what? You actually got a little farther than the last
Homework's
class.
already done.
You do have homework.
Mine's
It's
already
page
done.
28.
Can I show you mine?
No,
No, you shouldn't have been doing it, Dwayne.
No, because I should just take it because you did it while I was talking.
No, I did it while you
So
were helping
don't
other
forget-
kids.
Easy job.
Don't forget to do contour
job.
map 3, please.
Easy job.
It's been a pleasure, people.
Yeah.
Easy